Dear finance professionals and students, welcome to podcast of FCA Deepak Rao, a practicing chartered accountant. Weekly digest for week 2 of June 2026. Despite geopolitical turmoil and inflation, domestic consumption of essentials and personal care products remain resilient. Company executives express optimism for demand sustenance but advise a cautious approach for the next 2 to 3 quarters due to ongoing inflationary pressures and supply chain disruptions. CBI conducted searches at 6 locations in Chandigarh, Panchkola and Delhi NCR in connection with an alleged ₹661 crore fraud. The probe involves siphoning of government funds from Haryana and Chandigarh administrations with allegations of collusion between public servants and bank officials. Incriminating documents and digital devices were seized during the operations. CBI conducted searches at 6 locations in Chandigarh, Panchkola and Delhi NCR in connection with an alleged ₹661 crore fraud. The probe involves siphoning of government funds from Haryana and Chandigarh administrations with allegations of collusion between public servants and bank officials. Incriminating documents and digital devices were seized during the operations. Hyundai Motor India is seeking innovative startups for its Hyundai Innovation Challenge 2026. This 6-month program focuses on advanced solutions in electrifications, new mobility and AI. Startups can apply until June 2026. The challenge encourages groundbreaking ideas beyond the listed focus areas. This initiative aims to foster future vehicle technologies. Managed workspace provider IncuSpace is likely to get nearly ₹100 crore annual revenue boost with its latest acquisition of Ikeva. Ikeva has a portfolio of 18 workspace centers covering 5 lakh square feet across Hyderabad and Bengaluru, which it aims to double this fiscal year. IncuSpace has set a target of ₹1,000 crore in revenue in financial year 28-29 annual revenue through a mix of expansion, increased enterprise occupancy and acquisitions. The Ministry of Corporate Affairs or MCA has amended the company's Registered Valuers and Valuation Rules 2017 to strengthen the governance and operational framework applicable to registered valuer organizations or RVOs. Under the amended rules, every registered valuer organization or RVO is required to maintain a minimum paid-up share capital of ₹25 lakh. The requirement is intended to ensure adequate financial strength and institutional capacity of organizations engaged in the regulation and development of registered valuers. The Insolvency and Bankruptcy Board of India or IBBI has issued updated forms and formats under various regulations framed under the Insolvency and Bankruptcy Code 2016. The move follows recent regulatory amendments that replaced prescribed statutory forms with formats to be notified separately by the board. The revised forms and formats are intended to promote uniform reporting practices, improve data quality, and reduce compliance burdens for stakeholders. The Securities and Exchange Board of India or SEBI has issued an updated master circular for alternative investment funds or AIFs to consolidate the regulatory framework applicable to AIFs into a single reference document. The updated circular incorporates regulatory requirements contained in various circulars and directions issued up to May 31st, 2026, thereby providing stakeholders with a comprehensive and easily accessible compliance framework. India has unveiled a package aimed at supporting the rupee without restoring to capital controls, a move seen as more market-friendly than during the 2013 currency crisis when overseas remittance limits were tightened. Instead, authorities are encouraging state-owned firms and banks to raise dollars abroad and bring them back to India while offering concessions on hedging costs. Banks are likely to offer about 200 basis points higher interest rates on foreign currency non-resident bank or FCNRB deposits to attract inflows from the Indian diaspora after Reserve Bank of India's or RBI assurance it would bear the entire hedging costs. Some believe the rates offered would match those given to domestic savers. RBI's decision to bear the hedging cost on FCNRB deposits and exempt banks from maintaining the cash reserve ratio and statutory liquidity ratio against those deposits would save around 300 basis points of operational costs for banks. Quick commerce firm Zepto has filed its updated draft prospectus for a significant $1 billion IPO with Indian regulators. The offering includes a substantial fresh issue and a component for existing investors. This move brings the 5-year-old company closer to one of the year's most anticipated new age stock market debuts, following earlier confidential filings and regulatory approval. Haleon is investing Rs 2,000 crore to build its first manufacturing plant in Pithampur, India. This move sharpens its focus on India, a fast-growing consumer healthcare market. The plant will produce oral healthcare products, including Sensodyne. It aims to reach 1 billion more consumers by 2030, with 300 million in India. The facility will also cater to export markets. International Finance Corporation, or IFC, is investing $500 million in Hygenco Green Energies. This funding supports green hydrogen projects across India. The investment aims to scale up competitive green hydrogen supply for industries. Hygenco will develop projects and strengthen supply chains. This initiative will create jobs and support India's energy transition. India's engineering sector has emerged as a competitive merchandise export segment over the last 12 years and now accounts for more than 1/4 of the total goods exports from the country. Indian engineering exports reached $122.43 billion in the financial year 2025-26, rising nearly 75% from $70 billion in financial year 2014-15. This remarkable rise of India's engineering exports over the past 12 years reflects the growing strength, competitiveness and resilience of the country's manufacturing and export ecosystem. Sachin Bansal's Navi Technologies is in talks to raise $250 to $300 million at a $1.8 to $2 billion valuation, potentially from Prosus and Axel Growth Fund. This funding aims to expand its lending business in Southeast Asia following strong performance in India. The move comes after a period of regulatory scrutiny and a shift from IPO plans to private capital. New Chinese regulations on mineral resources are causing worry for Indian businesses. Beijing is linking vital mineral supplies to its national security goals. This policy, effective June 15th, formalizes China's stronghold over critical mineral processing. Experts believe this could lead to supply disruptions and price hikes for Indian importers. Meta has deepened its India bet by partnering with Reliance Industries to build its first AI-ready data center in the country, leasing 168 megawatt of capacity at Reliance's upcoming hyperscale campus in Jamnagar, Gujarat. The deal marks a significant milestone in the long-standing Meta-Reliance relationship and highlights India's emergence as a major hub for AI data centers. Roughly $270 billion cumulative investment has been committed by global hyperscalers and Indian conglomerates in data centers. Looking ahead to the July-September period, India's hiring scene is poised for a slowdown as employers adopt a wait-and-see stance amidst global uncertainties. Nevertheless, the country retains a vibrant hiring potential internationally. The current economic climate plays a significant role in shaping recruitment decisions, with notable hiring aspirations surfacing in utilities, finance, and construction sectors. Beverage industry in India. Indian companies are seeing strong growth in drinks like coffee, ready-to-drink options, and protein beverages. Gen Z consumers are driving this trend, seeking convenience and health. Companies are expanding their offerings to meet this demand. This shift presents significant opportunities for future expansion in the beverage market. The International Financial Services Centres Authority, or IFSCA, has issued a master circular for recognized stock exchanges and recognized clearing corporations operating in international financial services centres. The Master Circular consolidates various regulatory instructions, guidelines, and operational requirements applicable to market infrastructure institutions functioning within IFSCs. Adani Energy Solutions or AESL on Tuesday signed a binding agreement to acquire 100% stake in IntelliSmart Infrastructure Private Limited for Rs 3,050 crore, a move that will create India's largest smart metering platform with a combined portfolio of over 4.7 crore smart meters. The acquisition significantly strengthens AESL's position in India's fast-growing smart metering market, which is emerging as a key pillar of power distribution reforms and digitalization of utilities. Chinese new energy vehicle maker BYD will launch its first plug-in hybrid vehicle in India during the festive season, betting that the technology can attract buyers seeking electric driving without concerns over charging infrastructure and vehicle range. India remains a relatively small market for BYD compared with its global operations, but the company has steadily expanded its presence. BYD has a cumulative customer base of more than 14,000 vehicles in the country and operates 48 dealerships across 40 cities. Mahindra & Mahindra is experiencing a significant drop of up to 15% in SUV production. A shortage of contract workers is affecting key parts suppliers. This issue is impacting factory operations for popular models. The automotive industry across India faces similar labor challenges. Companies are adapting through automation and worker retention strategies. Demand for new vehicles remains strong, compounding these production pressures. India and the UAE are boosting energy security. Plans are underway to significantly expand India's strategic oil reserves with UAE-linked crude storage. New facilities will increase capacity from 5.8 million barrels to 30 million barrels. Both nations are also establishing a framework for strategic gas reserves. This initiative aims to provide greater flexibility and ensure stable energy supplies for India. Zee Entertainment Enterprises Limited is raising at least Rs 2,300 crore. This capital will fund new business ventures and strategic plans. The company recently secured FIFA media rights until 2034. This move strengthens its balance sheet. Zee is also investing in digital platforms like Bullet and Phantom FX. The fundraising follows a challenging financial quarter for the broadcaster. Reliance Foundation has won a legal battle against the income tax authorities regarding the charitable status of its Mumbai hospital. A tribunal ruled that medical relief qualifies as charity regardless of pricing or facility levels, stating tax laws don't mandate affordability for average households. The decision upholds the hospital's registration, emphasizing that institutional excellence does not negate its charitable nature. As artificial intelligence increasingly reshapes the financial sector, Indian banks are facing a sharp rise in fraud-related challenges, with 84% of banking leaders reporting higher fraud losses over the past year, according to a survey report. The survey report also mentioned that among the 100 banking and financial crime prevention leaders surveyed in India, 90% said fraud attempts at the institutions have increased over the past year, significantly higher than the global average of 81%. Reserve Bank of India has issued draft guidelines for computing banks' counterparty credit risk or CCR from derivative transactions and capital requirements for bank exposures to central counterparties to bring it in line with international standards. In draft guidelines, the central bank has clarified on scope of CCR across both banking and trading book exposures and how banks can treat multiple margin agreements and multiple netting sets in line with regulatory developments. India's decision to exempt foreigners from taxes on government bonds and broaden access to the debt market is expected to make the country more attractive to overseas investors, catalyze fresh inflows, and strengthen its case for inclusion in global indexes. The slew of measures rolled out in response to the oil shock that has hit Indian assets is beginning to lure foreign investors back into an overlooked market against a backdrop of rising global rate volatility. An analysis of 8 major retailers, market leader Reliance Retail, Shoppers Stop, Westside, Arvind Fashions, D-Mart, Spencer's Retail, Pantaloons and Bata showed that the contribution of e-commerce to overall revenue has seen minuscule improvement since 2021-22, even as online sales continue to increase in absolute terms. By contrast, the COVID-19 pandemic spurred explosive growth, with the share of digital sales in total revenue surging 3 to 4 times in 2020-21 and 2021-22. Coca-Cola may list on Indian stock exchanges next year, a significant shift after 50 years. This move could expose inflated valuations due to flawed SEBI IPO rules. Such practices may benefit the wealthy but weaken the rupee. Investors could see reduced returns. SEBI needs to revise its public float norms to ensure fair pricing and protect common investors. Public sector banks' advantage over private lenders is fading. Excess liquidity and low credit costs are diminishing. Liquidity coverage ratios have dropped and credit costs are expected to rise. Competition from private banks will intensify. Private sector lenders are projected to grow faster from next fiscal year, reclaiming market share. Vodafone Idea shareholders approved a Rs 4,730 crore investment from the Aditya Birla Group via preferential allotment of warrants, increasing AB's group stake to around 13%. Chairman Kumar Mangalam Birla stated that the company's focus now shifts to execution across operations, customer service, and network expansion. This capital infusion will support capital expenditure and loan repayment, reinforcing Vodafone India's financial health. Sagility announced acquisition of CareSeed, a US-based healthcare analytics company. The acquisition will help Sagility strengthen its quality and stars ratings offerings while accelerating the use of artificial intelligence in healthcare operations. Following the acquisition, Sagility plans to combine CareSeed's technology platforms with its own healthcare operations, clinical services, and AI-led transformation capabilities. TCS and Anthropic have launched global premier partnership to drive enterprise AI scaling. The IT sector major, Tata Consultancy Services, is partnering Anthropic, the artificial intelligence company behind Claude, to help enterprises scale AI adoption across industries. The two companies will jointly develop and market AI-led solutions for sectors such as financial services, public services, healthcare, life sciences, aviation, telecom, and medtech. Goldman Sachs, MCP Emerging Markets and other financial institutions on Thursday picked up more than 44 lakh shares, representing nearly a 4% equity stake of G&G Electronics, the parent company of Electronics Bazaar, for a total of Rs 175 crore through open market transactions. G&G Electronics Limited is one of India's largest refurbishers and providers of information and communication technology devices. Indian companies are rapidly investing in electric trucks. This shift is driven by fluctuating diesel prices and a focus on sustainability. Major firms like Ultratech Cement and Vedanta are expanding their electric fleets. Manufacturers report a surge in corporate interest. Electric truck registrations are soaring, indicating growing acceptance and deployment across various sectors. India is set to decide on extending customs duty relief for critical raw material imports beyond June 30. An interministerial panel will review easing import curbs on key inputs and consider fresh duties on certain locally manufactured electronics. The government is also evaluating duty cut requests from the pharmaceutical and steel sectors. New RBI measures aim to make overseas borrowing cheaper for banks. External commercial borrowing costs may drop by up to 2.5%. This will help banks raise funds at lower rates and boost liquidity. Special swap facilities will also cut hedging costs. These steps are expected to strengthen India's foreign exchange reserves and ease deposit mobilization pressures for banks. Hitachi Energy India will invest approximately Rs 2,000 crore to build a new large power transformer factory in Karjan, Vadodara, Gujarat. This significant investment aims to boost manufacturing capabilities and support India's growing electricity demand. The factory is scheduled for completion in financial year 28. It is expected to create over 1,000 jobs and strengthen the nation's energy value chain. The Reserve Bank of India or RBI has released draft amendment directions on the standardized approach for counterparty credit risk or SACCR and invited comments from regulated entities, market participants and other stakeholders until 1st July 2026. The proposed framework seeks to replace the existing current exposure method or CEM used for measuring counterparty credit risk arising from derivative transaction and align India's regulatory framework with evolving international standards. The proposed amendments take into account recent legal, regulatory and international developments, including the Bilateral Netting of Qualified Financial Contracts Act 2020, margining regulations applicable to derivative transactions, and clarifications issued by the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision or BCBS. E-commerce firm Meesho said it will acquire B2B retailing platform Kirana Club for about Rs 202 crore in an all-cash deal. According to a regulatory filing, Meesho's board approved the acquisition of a 100% stake in Singapore Incorporated Kirana Club Pte Limited and its Indian subsidiary Retail Pulse Labs. The acquisition is expected to strengthen Meesho's presence and capabilities in the e-commerce ecosystem. Founded in 2020, Kirana Club operates a mobile-first platform that allows small retailers, primarily in Tier 2 to Tier 4 cities and rural areas, to discover, compare, and order fast-moving consumer goods directly from brands.
This podcast is sponsored by Sound of CA. We share because we care. Vande Mataram, Jai Hind.